Live from Studio 3, this is Packaging Today with Evelio Matos, Adam Peake, and Corey Connors.
Well, hey, we're welcome to Packaging Live without Evelio Matos.
Two of us.
You've got dos, I believe is how they say it in Germany.
Two of the best of the three of us. Two of the best.
Two of the best Packaging Today hosts on Monday mornings in the history of the world on LinkedIn.
Right. So
we have to be, I was thinking about this. I think that we have to be the number one Monday morning packaging show on LinkedIn currently going. Do you think this is accurate?
At least top three, at least.
Probably. I mean, yeah, at least. I will get people though who, when I tell them that I have a packaging podcast and that it's, downloaded a lot, they're like, well, of course, how many packaging podcasts are there? I'm like, surprisingly.
Yeah. You'd be amazed.
A lot.
There's quite a few.
There's been a lot that has started for sure. There's been a few that have carried on. The sustainable packaging with Corey Connors and Packaging Unboxed and the People of Packaging, and then some others, and Beyond the Shelf with SpecRite. The one that Tim over Packaging Europe runs, a pretty good one as well.
Yeah, Packaging Europe. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'm sure there's some others. Apologize if I've missed out on your podcast, but we'd be happy to promote. Megan Young Gambles, the packaging product powerhouse.
She's a star in the industry, and it's important that we support her and her journey. And I think it's been cool to kind of help her out a little bit here and there, just with ideas and thoughts. But she's taken it and ran with it, doing 100%. A great job.
Well, hey, if you are watching on this Monday morning, July 22nd, please drop a comment. I know that normally this airs on Evelio's page, and then we kind of grab it and stream it. But Evelio is on assignment. I think he's on vacation. He's not replying to texts. Evelio, if you're there, send sign of life.
He's over in Europe enjoying some time with his family during the very hot time in Arizona, so he can get away a little bit there.
I've heard this. I was in Arizona sometime this month of July. I think it was 10 days ago or something, and not cold. I'll tell you that much. It's quite warm.
Uncomfortable, especially for somebody like me from the Northwest that's used to fairly mild temperatures. It's shocking sometimes.
Hello, Chris from Colorado. It's I was actually in Colorado last week. So my crazy idea of a vacation is at a camp with 135 elementary and middle school kids, chasing them around from 7 a.m. till 11 p.m. for a full week, and then getting in my car and driving home.
Were you a counselor?
I was. Yeah, my wife and I were the head counselors. Not to be too big of a deal, but
it's an honor to know you, sir.
Thank you. It was really cool because I realized when we were there, on July 17th of 2002, I proposed to my wife at that camp, and so we were. There's a gazebo in the middle of the camp, and it was just kind of neat to kind of sit there and be like, "Wow, 22 years ago, that goes by shockingly fast."
Yes.
So it's always great. We go back almost every year. Our kids are campers there, and there's just not a lot of places left, it seems like, where I'm going to sound super old when I say this, but like where kids can just go be kids. They just run around in the mountains.
Dirty. Yeah, have fun.
Everyone's stinky and dirty, and they have an absolute blast together. And it's something that I grew up doing and going to, and now for my kids to be able to do it, it was really great.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed it.
Shout out to Camp Tadmor here in Oregon. It's a beautiful place. I grew up going there as a youngster.
I went to Camp Elam. Camp Elam is where I was. And it is a lot of fun to go back and serve and work. So if you get an opportunity to go serve and work at one of these camps, I think they're great. But that's not why people are here, Corey.
No.
They're
Let's talk
here.
about boxes, packaging.
They're
in general.
here for packaging. By the way, we're not going to spend any time really going through this, but I did tell Corey beforehand, I was unaware of this little note that the gentleman who attempted to assassinate now candidate Trump was on top of a packaging testing manufacturing building, I found out. So there was some bizarro connection between that event and the packaging industry. And we don't really have a lot to offer on either one of those topics because in terms of packaging testing equipment or attempted assassinations of political figures. But I thought that was interesting. I saw that article on Packaging Digest, and I'll share it if anyone wants to go and chat through it. I won't name the company because they're being investigated apparently to see how this gentleman got access to the
Oh no.
um,
The packaging industry is enormous, and people don't understand how large it is and how much we're involved with the whole world, and how we affect so many people and so many things that happen. So we
though
have a big responsibility. Yeah,
typically we are not involved in assassination attempts of
that's a new one.
So
That's a new one.
that's a new one.
Yeah.
Strangely enough, part of my family history, my mom lived in a pretty poor rural area of Arkansas growing up,
Mhm.
and helped. So James Earl Ray, who assassinated Dr. King, was on the run and ended up like at where my mom was growing up, and they contributed to the discovery of him. It's part
Oh,
of my
wow.
family history, so pretty wild. Um,
Peaks be peaking. That's it. That's right.
I don't know, that could mean a lot of different things.
That's it.
Yeah, so let's talk about this idea about how big the packaging industry is, and we've been meaning to talk about this for a while, but
Yeah.
Avelio has just been throttling us back from being able to talk about this very important topic. But you know, when the parent is gone, the kids will. Is that a phrase?
Yeah. Cats away, mice will play. Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
But you and I and Avelio, we attend a lot of trade shows
Yes.
and a lot of organizational get-togethers and things like that. I was at the TLMI Label Leaders of Tomorrow, the TLMI LLT event, because in the industry also we love abbreviations. And that was in Chicago. There's Label Expo that's coming up. There's Pack Expo that's coming up. There's
Yeah.
events in Europe that I know that you've attended. So let's talk about a couple of things relating to these. Number one is maybe what kind of value is there for companies who are attending these shows that you're saying? Like, are there companies who are going to these shows and it's just like they are nailing it either as attendees or as exhibitors? And what are some things that they're doing that you're like, yeah, this is what they're really doing well at these shows?
Yeah, I think it's a lot about preparation and a lot about communication, letting people know that you're going, and then when you're there, letting people know that you're there and spreading the message the way that you and I have done effectively via social media and blogs and vlogs and posting on LinkedIn and Instagram and TikTok and all of the different ways that we can spread the word about what we're doing. You and I have had experiences where we've walked by a booth and they're sitting there looking at their phone, and we've engaged with them and said, "Are you on social media?" "No, we don't do that." It's like, well, what are you doing? What's the
Yep.
point of going to a show if you're not going to tell people that you're there and you're not going to interact with the people that are there? So the intention of this talk today is, how can you be effective at an event, and how can you draw people into your booth to tell them about what you do, so it's more successful for you? These events are incredible opportunities to spread the word about what you're doing, to meet new people, to create new real relationships in person. That's where the value comes. I can't wait to go to London Packaging Week in September, and then Sustainable Packaging Coalition events in October and November. This is exciting. I'm excited about these things. Packaging Europe's in November and Amsterdam. I can't wait to see the people there again and to get to learn from them and to get to connect with them. The value is immense when done correctly.
I totally agree. And actually, I'll go back to my week last week when I was at camp and kind of tease that in here because what has happened to us post pandemic, I think, is that there are a lot of people who have lost connection to people, even though we are, quote, the most connected in the world than we've ever been. But we are still animals that crave the in-person time together. That has not left our biology because of COVID. It's still very much there. And so that's the reason why I think we see record numbers of attendees at these events is because people want to be around people. And we had a period of time where we were not allowed to be around people. And that hurt. It really, really hurt. And you couple that with this growing amount of social media, which allows somebody to sort of be entertained all day long without having to interact with people. Now, the combination of those two, like you were talking about, I think is really powerful, where you can't just be on social media and expect for, great things to happen. I don't believe. Not in our industry. Maybe there are some industries that can, but we're talking specifically about the packaging industry. You can't just have a social media presence. You have to be able to go out and take that digital presence and have a physical presence that is also there. So at these shows, I think that you and I and Avelio and others have really tried to help companies realize, like, hey, there might be a couple thousand people who walk by your booth and you can't just be on your phone.
Yeah.
It's the worst look. And I get it. These days are long. I've had to manage a booth before. It's probably a quick snapshot, but it's like, if you were there,
be there. Yeah.
Be there. Be present. There's a lot of people. You don't have to be the person that's out there just, like you're like at a carnival, like, hey, step right up and come on over here and check out our stuff. We got some stuff. But at least be available and present and smiling. And but the thing is that you can take your presence there and greatly multiply it through social media.
It gets amplified.
That's it. Totally amplified. And we've seen that, the one example we've talked about before was the what was the slide?
Box Latch. Yeah.
Box Latch, where that guy was just, hanging out. And you're like, this is pretty cool. Can I make
He was doing a great job at the booth. It was at the Innovations Forum at the Pack Expo, I think 2 years ago in Chicago. And I just said, hey, don't tell me what it is without this. And let me do a video of you explaining it. And then I posted it and it just went crazy viral. Their orders, they had their best month ×2 that month for orders. And it just shows the power of social media. It shows what's possible, I think.
Yep. Yeah, it's huge. And when those when those two worlds collide, it can be really powerful. I was actually going to look up so last week and I did a post about this on LinkedIn. We don't have to go through the whole social media thing, so I want to get to some of these shows and how people can connect with us. But last week, as I mentioned, I was on vacation. I was in the mountains without very good access to any type of internet for
That's
and
nice.
it was great.
Nice to have a break. Yeah.
It was awesome. But I scheduled posts, which it's okay to take a break. You don't have to post every day. I don't want to, but the fact that you can, and I just took an hour on Saturday before I left and I was like, I'm just going to schedule some posts and see what happens. So I was able to be present socially online and be on vacation at the same time. And my posts got, let's see, 24,000 impressions with 11,000 unique views.
Yeah.
So I don't know what all this stuff means, but it just means that 11,000 people saw some piece of content that I created, and I remain top of mind for them.
Yeah.
Again, we could have a whole episode about what that means and all that stuff. The point
Right.
is this: that same power can also be at play when you're at these trade shows.
Yeah.
And I think it's a shame that most people don't do it. The other thing that I think people do, by the way, that is really good is planning. You talked about planning, is planning events outside or around the show. And I think
Right.
that's really where the power comes here, right? Which is being able to have a dinner with
Mm-hmm.
20, 10, 15
Yeah.
of, clients, prospects, business partners, whatever it is, that are coming from all across the US or even all across the world, and they're all in one spot. And if you were to try
Yeah.
to go meet with them individually, it would cost you tens of thousands of dollars in flights. But the
Yeah.
fact that you can do one trip and you can make this great meeting happen, I think is the other valuable thing that comes from these shows.
So valuable, so necessary, and it takes some planning, but I think generally people are excited to step out of the show and then just be able to be in a more relaxed environment with a smaller group and kind of let their hair down a little bit, just be themselves, or yes,
Or they don't,
or
or if
just
you don't have hair,
just
that's fine. It's just
yeah. I mean, I
everybody.
support all people with or without hair. That's what I
Thank
meant to say. Yeah,
Thank
that's what
you.
I
I
meant.
appreciate that.
Thank you. I agree. Though the after events, we've done one with your company Myers. That was great. I'll never forget that. Got to see some of the people that we had been with communicating with on social media for so long. We're planning something with Aurora this time at Pack Expo. That's going to be a little outside the event at Pack Expo, but I can't wait for that. It's exciting. It's something you can anticipate and look forward to.
And I would say, if you are going into a trade show, if you're somebody who has to go work the booth, or if you're in marketing and you don't have a plan, if the
Mhm.
plan is to show up and set up a booth, unless you have a big, giant, massive booth that's right in the
Yep.
middle of all the action, which obviously, I think about like companies like Promoc have, right?
Mhm.
Like that just they take
Massive.
massive space, and it's almost like, well, I got to wander into this place. If that's
Right.
not you, and most companies are not that, if you don't have a plan, start now. Like if you're going to one of these events in, would you say September?
hmm
Start right
London,
now.
London Packaging Week, September 11th and 12th. Hope to see
Got
you
it.
there.
Yeah. So, but begin planning your events outside. Begin planning your social media strategy. Contact, Corey will be there. I don't believe I'll be there in London Packaging Week. You can hit me up. I'm just saying. But I'm
You
not
know who
planning on
does a
being
great
there.
job of that is the team at SpecRite, Laura Fody and Laura Sampson. Just they do an incredible job making it an experience visiting their booth and doing live podcasts from their booth and having little events there that make it enticing to
Yep.
visit, to go see them. And so other people will post, hey, I visited the SpecRite booth and it was great because Matthew Wright was there, and he was speaking about a small portion of their software that's so valuable, and things like that. I think if you're looking to better yourself, go look at booths like SpecRite. Go check them out and see what they do, because they always have a crowd around their booth.
Yep.
And you mentioned carnivals. It's exciting when there's a group you want to see. Oh, what's going on over there? Why is everybody over there? Oh, they have great merch. They have great things that you can take, and they have a great product, great service. So check them out.
Yeah,
Cool.
and to be fair, SpecRite, for an example, or I think about like the Scotch cushion lock display
Mhm.
as well that I got to
Yeah.
go see. Like these aren't exactly the most prime real estate, but
Right.
if you have a reason, an attractional reason, whether it's because you've been inviting people out, or because you have it tends to also be like really good swag. So much of the
Yeah.
swag is kind of garbage. Sorry, everybody. It's kind of
Yeah.
garbage. But when you have, Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
They always have like some cool hats. They've got some cool shirts. It becomes this attractional thing where it's like people want to come and see what's going on. And then, candidly, they also partner with people like us, and we can we
Yeah.
help to amplify their message. At the last one, hang on. I dropped off a bunch of like the packet of our kids' packaging books, and I was like, just everybody go pick one up, right? Like
Yeah.
I wasn't going to be there. I think I dropped off like 10 or 15 of them. I posted it. They were gone within minutes.
Yeah.
So there's no shame in partnering with people like us to help to drive that kind of
Yeah.
attention and traffic to your booth. And we're more than happy to do it, especially for really cool companies with good people.
Right.
Um, it's something that, or if
We've
you have $1 million,
well, we've been intentional about who we partner with,
correct?
and very specific, and said no to quite a few because they just weren't a good fit. But we want to amplify the message of the people that we think are doing good things in the industry, like Scotch Cushion Lock, like Specrite, like Scrap, like Smart Solve. These
Compass,
brands,
Tri-
Com-
Compass,
Triac, Compass.
Triac,
These
even
people, they're people
Lorax,
that can help
right?
us all. Yeah, Lorax. These are people that we can all work with to be better, and can affect us all in very positive ways to be more sustainable or to be more efficient, or drive dollars to your bottom line. And so that's important to us. So if you're a great company doing great things in the industry, reach out to us, and let's have a discussion about that.
Yeah, as Matthew Wright said, we want to make amazing things, and
Yeah.
we want to help people make amazing things.
Yeah.
Well, Corey, we've got a few minutes left here on the show. It's amazing that we even made it 22 minutes without Avelio. I don't know
I'm
how we did it, but
He's the anchor for sure. Yeah, he's
and
an
we have no.
amazing person. Yeah,
Chris has commented. I don't know if anybody else is actually listening to us.
that's
We can
okay.
really tell who drives the charge here of the
Yeah.
of the commenters, and it's clearly not us. But I
Mhm.
will let me give a quick plug for Avelio.
Yep.
Go follow if you're not his YouTube page. He is putting on a masterclass on how to build a
Blowing
YouTube.
up.
He's
Yeah.
doing great work over there. So everyone go follow Packaging Unboxed. So with all that to be said, what events are you going to? Are you planning on going to? You've already mentioned a couple of them. And are there still opportunities for companies to partner up with you to help kind of amplify their voice?
Yeah, great question. And I love Chris's comment here, making short video examples of the best booths. And that's what we do when we go to those. Hey, Brandon, good to see you, sir.
Oh,
Uh,
finally, a brand. I didn't know. Does a Packaging Today show happen if a Brandon doesn't comment?
no, it's
I don't
not
think so.
real.
It's
So
not real.
thank you,
It's fake.
Brandon, for making
Fake.
this legit. I'll be at London Packaging Week in London, England, in September, and really excited to be at the Sustainable Packaging Coalition event in October, or late September and October. They're going to have two events, one after the other, one How to Recycle and one Sustainable Packaging Coalition event uh, right after that. So you're going to have some great speakers, and yes, you can partner with us. You can ask us to come see your booth and do some posting live from that booth, or if you want to meet there and discuss how you can use social media better, we're here to help, and we want to be good partners for good companies. It's an exciting time in packaging. It's really the people that are using social media correctly are greatly outperforming others. And I look at some of the numbers. You were talking about 22,000 views in a week, and let that sink in. 22,000 people saw Adam last week, and he wasn't even there. He was off having a great time with his family. And to use social media that way effectively is so incredibly valuable. And if Adam and Avelio and I post something immediately, that can get 60,000 views, like in a few days. So that kind of pressure in the industry, saying, "Hey, look at this. This is something to see," is it's kind of daunting. And we have to be very careful with that. and we use it only sparingly.
With great power comes
Yeah.
great sustainability.
We have to be careful with it. We don't want to post things that aren't true. We don't ever do that. We want to be very above board, and so we're honored to be a part of this ecosystem of packaging, and it's a lot of fun, and really excited to meet you all in person at these events. The winter and the fall is coming soon, and there's going to be a whole bunch of events real fast. So we're excited to see that.
I was at, as I mentioned, I was at the TLMI event, and this is the first time I'd done this, where they said, "Hey, could you do a takeover of our page?" And it was I was like, I don't know how this is going to work. I've never done this before. You trust me? I make videos in the shower. So shout out to Jessica at TLMI for trusting me. But I will say, surprisingly, the change of voice, because when and you know, I made sure to say, hey, this is being posted by and I tagged myself, and then, you know, I could jump in and comment and kind of share. So there was a little bit of a cheat code there, but I will say that change of voice from a more corporate voice to an individual voice was pretty powerful. There was a couple of videos, or a couple of posters. One I did with a gentleman, and I just tried to use like Gen Z slang in my post. And I mean, it's like between that and one where the Domino, she was doing the demo, and she had painted her nails extended gamut color, CMYK and RGB, and to show off what was in the press. And I was like, that's incredible. She was the most passionate person ever. And those two posts, I think, got, you know, well into the 30 to 40,000 impressions. They're the most. And so even that idea, that was not my idea, right? This came from TLMI. They're like, hey, what if you did this? I'm like, that sounds like fun. That could be another thing that we could do. It's super simple to set up. And, you know, the three of us would love to do a takeover of your LinkedIn page, or just come in and post. So there's a lot of things that can happen, but it only happens when there's the connection between digital and social and in person. When those two things come together, they can be really, really powerful. And I think left to themselves, they have a little bit of power. Oh, good. We helped somebody. Our work here is done. Thanks, everybody. John Gregory says we gave him a great idea. So great. Glad to help you, John. I normally don't trust people who have two first names, but John will make that happen here.
We appreciate that, John.
I really appreciate that. But yeah, I mean, that connection can be really, really powerful. So, you know, if you're going to these events, and I don't know, I'll be totally honest, I think I'm going to Label Expo in Chicago, and I think I'm going to go. Fred Richards has an event right after that in Chicago, so I think I'm going to do both of those, but have not quite decided. But anyway, I'll broadcast whatever shows I'm going to be going to very soon. I do have a meeting that starts at 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time that just started. I got the notification on Teams. Do you ever wake up in the middle of the night with that, like, dung dung? It's like, oh man, oh geez, okay, I'm missing a meeting.
Nightmare. Yeah,
but I do need to jump. So everyone, go connect up with Corey if you're in London or Amsterdam or at the SBC events. Follow Sustainable Packaging Podcast with Corey Connors.
And follow Adam Peak and the people of packaging.
Thanks. See you, everybody.
Live from Studio 3, this is Packaging Today with Evelio Matos.